I want to look one more time at Cobra Kai. I say one more time. It's very possible I'm going to do one more time for every episode, at least for the first season. I want to do. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna look at all of them, and eagerly too. Maybe go look back at Karate Kid. I'm overjoyed to see that I just posted yesterday. I just posted my first, look at review reaction thing to the first episode of Cobra Kai, and I had viewers already. I had no anticipation of getting anybody really to watch, much less got a comment. So I greatly appreciate that. There's the urging to go and do an on-camera reaction, and I do want to do that, but I'm one of those guys who, at least for right now, I'm considering staying private, at least, facial wise and all that. And once you get the toothpaste out of the tube, getting it back is kind of a problem. But obviously, on-camera reactions are much more interesting and, well, more traditional. It's what everyone expects. I get that. I would like to do that. We'll see if I do that. I'd like to do some of these with friends of mine as well, and I can't guarantee that I'd be able to convince them to do the same thing. But in the meantime, I'm an old radio guy, so I do vocal type of recordings, for better or for worse. We'll see how I develop this. There's alternatives. I might be able to do that, but hopefully I can talk about what I see and what I've already seen and seeing again, and give, I don't know, some kind of look, analysis. Again, I mean, a lot of this has already been said before, and none of this is really going to be new. I expect, hopefully I do bring something new. I want that to be the reason that somebody takes a look. Maybe I've got some alternative look, a strange look, an odd look, a funny look, a wrong look. That's something that you watch as well, that maybe you haven't considered before, or you've heard it before, but you didn't give it much credence. But you're from me as well, and you think, well, okay, I guess there's other people that sort of see the same thing. Maybe I'll give that a consideration. So that's my gig. Now, before I start, this would be season 1, episode 2 of Cobra Kai. I can't remember the name of the title. I don't know if the titles ever show on the screen. I think they do at the beginning. But the one thing I do remember from the second episode is, right out of the gate, it starts with Dean Martin. I'm a huge Dean Martin fan. I love Dean Martin. Dean was like nobody else, and he didn't really care. He didn't really give a damn. And that's so funny, because when we see Danny LaRusso, he's not that guy. He's never been that guy. He's Italian, and how lucky can one guy be? I kissed her and she kissed me. First lines of the song, ain't that a kick in the head? Of course, that's what we think of Danny's life as the series goes on, as the series starts anyways. Because he's got it pretty good. But when you think of Dean Martin, it has to be said, he's a guy that did whatever the hell he wanted. He palled around with Sinatra, and Sinatra would want to hold court. I mean, I haven't even started the video yet, and I'm already talking. Sinatra would want to hold court, and he was famous for knowing, or notorious for holding late nights at the back of a restaurant or at somebody's place and having a poker. Hey, we started at 11 o'clock or midnight. We're going till 3, and then we're going to go play poker. We're going to go over here. We're going to go over there. And everyone was expected to show. Dean was expected to show, but nobody expected him to definitely be there. He would usually, from what I've read anyways, he'd usually beg off politely. He'd either joke about it, but he was really the only guy that anyone that would tell Sinatra, thanks, Frank, but no. That's, maybe this generation doesn't understand that. maybe this generation doesn't really have a context for Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, how big of a big shot Frank was and how much he wanted to be and how he told people what to do, really. And if he didn't, he had the famous New Jersey Italian, attitude. Upset. Dean would say, "Well, Frank, I got a girl waiting for me," and of course he didn't. He had a Western he wanted to watch. He loved watching Westerns. He maybe had a drink. He maybe had a glass of milk. Anyway, that's a long way to go from something I remember that starts off the second episode of Cobra Kai's first season. It starts with Danny's perspective. I expected more that we were just going to get from Danny, since the first episode so heavily focused on Johnny Lawrence. But it doesn't. It starts with Danny's perspective. I don't believe it stays there very, very long. I think maybe a third. Well, we'll see. We'll take a look. Let me put this to rights. I hope I don't have the thing too loud. Yeah, see, the song absolutely has, God, it just puts a smile on my face every time. I wish life was that easy. I wish life was that good. It is, but you got to work at it. He's got the world, he's got the world on a string, to quote another song, and he hams it up for his kids, for his wife. He goofs around. He's happy-go-lucky. He does pretty well. And as fans of the show, the fans of the movie, we're glad. This is the kid who had a rough time leaving home, the beginning of The Karate Kid, and went to somewhere he didn't want to be, and had to start all over, new friends, knew everything, and didn't exactly hit the ground running successfully. So to see that this guy has, years later, done all right. Boy, he still looks like a kid. Yeah, and that's when he's the bottom drops out of everything. He just saw the dojo. He just sees a karate dojo that says Cobra Kai. And he remembers all of the hits that he took. Just the way that Johnny in the previous episode, he remembers all the hits he took, all the failures that he went through. This is what Daniel's son has experienced. Now we go, there's an IKEA shelf. The sort of thing that I notice. Yeah, I love this. This really is important to remember that at least for me, it was such a shock to see that they had a character so politically incorrect, and they made him likable. I think a lot of people have a different opinion of. For my age, I grew up watching All in the Family, and I'm sure everyone hears these days All in the Family, younger generation. And wasn't he racist? Wasn't Archie Bunker racist? Well, he was bigoted. He never hurt anybody, and everybody ends up kind of liking Archie, in spite of the fact that he's kind of a small-minded, kind of a bigoted guy. And sometimes he's right compared to Mike or his daughter or whoever. And sometimes he's got to sit around and acknowledge silently that he was wrong. It's a funny show, and it's funny how they portray him. The country loved Archie Bunker, and I think the country, or at least the country that watches Cobra Kai, likes Johnny Lawrence. I'm not saying he's a bigot or anything like that. That word gets thrown around too frequently. He's just rough around the edges, and he's mind to mouth. And tell a kid quiet and forget this asthma crap. Part of the joy watching this is, did you just say that? Yeah. This day and age, it's very dangerous to have any of the opinions that come out of Johnny's mouth. You get thought of as being backward, primitive, and you're going to have to leave. We don't want you to talk right now, Johnny Lawrence. And we're so surprised to see him say half of the shit that he does. When we see the lessons start to come out, just like in The Karate Kid, those lessons aren't what we expected. And what is learned in karate, in Cobra Kai, is a surprise. We keep thinking, well, these lessons were bad, weren't they? Visitor from the city health department, and Johnny's kind of got to bluff his way through everything here. I think this is the guy that says, they have badass logo or badass snake. Yeah. he's just an illegal. I mean, I wonder if someone's going to try and get this show shut down. I hope not. It's absolutely charming. Can I even say that? You say that about a movie or a TV show these days, and people will laugh at you. Charming, wholesome, sweet. That's, you don't, cool rattlesnake. Yeah. You don't say that about a show where there's kick-ass shit going on. You know, a guy who's trying to teach karate, and tough karate, and stand up for yourself, and don't, the way Johnny says it, don't be a pussy. You don't. That's what I'm really worried about, is that someone's going to get a hold of the making of the show, the makers of the show, and start saying, you can't say that, you can't do that. And if that happens, it absolutely loses. It absolutely loses. It will sink. This is one of the things that makes this show unique in this day and age. It's not afraid to be wholesome, yet ballsy, I guess. And I mentioned his Aunt Tessie again. See, I gotta love Daniel. He's Italian as well, and he likes a dirty martini. I've grown into that for sure. See, this is what friends of mine have seen this, family have seen this. Aisha, she's a great character, but she is not, I gotta say this, she is not the girl that you put on television and expect to have a lot of lines or a lot of screen time. She's got a great development through this season and into the next. And it's refreshing. It's extremely refreshing. She's tough. She's badass. And her mom's Kim Fields. So, you know, hell yeah. I will neither confirm nor deny that I had a crush on Kim Fields when I was younger. I suppose that actually just pretty much says it. TV crushes, yeah. Laura Petrie from the Dick Van Dyke Show. Kim Fields from later seasons of The Facts of Life. And who was the other one? Yeah, years later when I went back and watched the British adventure spy show, The Avengers, Emma Peel. Again, that's kind of a cliche. Nothing unique about having a crush on Diana Rigg. Thinking of Laura Petrie, I kind of dated a gal in high school that years later I realized she looks like Laura Petrie. Didn't notice it at the time. She never said, "Oh, Rob." He drinks Coors and flicks the cap. I've never been able to do that. The show's not afraid to show a guy a little nerdy, a guy a little off the mark, somebody who's not the center of attention, who is the center of scorn. Right here, Johnny starts knowing that he's connecting to Miguel. Miguel saying he's never known his dad. Of course, Johnny Lawrence likes Guns N' Roses. Of course he does. There's Kyler. Yeah. The kid who plays Kyler does a great job of being a guy you just don't like. And the gal who plays Yasmin really needs to eat about 6 or 7 sandwiches. Oh, by the way, there's a house party at your place, Daniel's son. That's the other thing. Can we say Daniel's son without anyone getting upset? I think that was such a wonderful, affectionate way to refer to him. He still looks like a baby. See, this is another thing I noticed. Right behind Danny, as he's walking in and chewing out his daughter, you see the American flag prominently displayed in his backyard. It's the same with Johnny. There's a poster of the American flag prominently on his wall with an American eagle, a bald eagle. Normally, Hollywood doesn't really go out of their way to say that or show that. And if they do, it tends to be looked down upon and showing a guy who's kind of what they normally would for Johnny Lawrence. But we get it from Danny and we get it from Johnny. So they're very similar guys. And later on in the series, we see really how similar they are. Pushed off a cliff. It's down a hill. Not that I would want to be pushed down a hill on a bike. I do got to say, I love their kitchen. There's a lot of stuff hanging. I got to think about kitchens. I love to work in a kitchen. I guess that's the Italian in me. Yes, that is in fact one of the reasons why I connected with Danny LaRusso as a younger kid and later in life. Cheesy, yes, but we all have our crosses to bear, and mine is to be slightly nerdy and cheesy. It's funny watching this, and you see this cutout of Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, and he's just a movie character. But I get that feeling like I wish I had something like that. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit that I wish I had some guidance like that right now. And a few years ago, and 5 years ago, and 10 years ago, and 20 years ago, and when I was Danny's high school age, of course. Always can use some good advice. Always could use some grounding. I guess that's the surprise of me growing up, is that you still need that stuff. I don't know, it looks so easy on movies and television when everyone is Skyping or whatever, video conferencing. I hate video conferencing. The eye contact thing is a real problem. I mean, maybe if it was at a distance, at a huge distance, I could get over it. But eye contact, if I can't have eye contact, it's very difficult for me to connect. Not wearing headphones as well, that's weird. Like I said before, I used to be a radio guy and voice working, stuff like that. So to be speaking into a microphone or be speaking at all without headphones it's distracting, it's unnerving, and I keep thinking, the levels aren't right, the levels aren't right. They even allude to online video photo. Which has got to be scary in hell. Oh my God, if I had a daughter, I would probably be completely gray, wrinkled head to foot, and cleaning a shotgun at all times. It's just funny. Sam is a sweet girl, and you do kind of really identify that she is Daniel's daughter, but you do get the impression that she must have trained with him, and she's probably nobody's fool. And it's not out of place that she's with, I don't want to say the wrong crowd, but that Yasmin girl is very obvious that she's kind of a problem. And now, Eli and Dimitri. It's a little distracting because Dimitri is so sarcastic, cleverly and efficiently, and very proficient at it. Not a lot of kids at his age were that good without being actually really, really cool. But you can let it go. I can certainly let it go. But he's such a negative character. And the fact that he says hand jobs is a real shocker. That's not what I expected anybody to say, much less a kid. Wow, he did a really the guys playing these kids, Miguel, Dimitri, Eli, they do a really good job with their characters. And yeah, the knowing look that a friend of yours or an older friend of yours, and you're not talking and you're not really acknowledging each other out loud, but you know you should be, but you're kind of embarrassed. You don't know. I hate that because it's real. I mean, you've seen that. I've experienced it at both ends of the spectrum on that one. Yeah, here he goes. Strike first. He's going to ask her out. He's going to, and of course it's not going to work. Of course he's going to miss his opportunity. And of course he's going to get embarrassed. That's what we expect to see. And maybe it's not even just an 80s film cliche. It's a life cliche. Yeah, Kyler, you do need to get smacked in the face in several ways. He's good at that. He really is good at being a douche. Sort of thing you pay attention to, the stuff in the background when the scene that's going on. I guess I never noticed the taped up punching bag, the black cylinder punching bag with all this silver duct tape. I never noticed that before. Not really supposed to. It's supposed to be subliminal, I guess, just to fill out the scene, fill out the shot, the set. It really is done efficiently. That set looks like okay, here we got Johnny's kid, which I don't buy that kid in this role. He's not a tough guy he's too pretty. He's a pretty boy. And for better or worse, I don't think he's as good of a performer as the rest of the young cast. I think generally he looks like such a baby in this episode. He really starts to look older in the later episodes of the season, and certainly in the second season. Yeah, Johnny doesn't do much. He's just been called a pathetic loser by his son, wearing a Misfit t-shirt. And You can totally feel it. You've seen other people's kids go after their parents, or you felt it yourself, and he can't connect with his own kid, but he's the kid is giving him attention. The kid is listening to him, paying attention to him, giving him his eyes. He's giving him his focus. And Johnny is imparting something useful to this kid. He's asking Miguel, are you a loser? And urging him to keep hitting the dummy, hit the dummy. And his son just called him a loser. So he's encouraging Miguel to be the kid that he wishes he was, and that he wishes he could be, instructing his kid there. And Kyler is going to want fish sticks. You total douche. Fish sticks are dope. This is a sign this kid is not supposed to be in your house. He ought to be removed bodily, face first. He is Eddie Haskell, if anyone knows what Eddie Haskell means. He looks like a baby. He does not look like he's, I don't know, 55 or however old he's supposed to be. He does not look that old. Yeah. That's good. It works, though. I mean, he's hearing not enough. He's not getting the full story. So, of course, he's going to. And he still moves like. Ralph Macchio still moves like. There's some things that he does, little gestures, little moves, nods, and that. Very familiar, very much. How old is he now? He's Jesus, he's nearly 60. He's gonna be 60 next year. This son of a bitch is gonna be 60? I love this line. I saw this in the trailer. Any particular way you want me to wash this window? Nope. Oh. Yeah. That's funny. Okay, here's the showdown. Here's the Danny and Johnny confrontation. That almost exactly one episode previous was in Daniel's territory. Now it's Johnny's territory. Danny's business. Now it's Johnny's business. Kick the shit out of a bunch of assholes and deserved it. I love that. That's funny. He says, I'm not here to rehash the past, but that's exactly what Danny's there doing. He's rehashing the past. Johnny's always rehashing the past. In the back of his head, he's hearing everything that's happened between him and Danny before. But he's right. He says to Danny, get your house in order. Yeah, and we all, in the back of the shot, we get strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And again, we got the American flag in his dojo on the wall. The last time it's not the last time, I remember noticing it very prominently in Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, where the American flag was all over the place and it was not negative. Normally it's a marker, it's a tell that the character is not good. Yeah. These were the first 2 episodes for the season, and they were originally made available free on YouTube. And I digested them as quickly as possible. I think I watched the first 2 episodes 3 times each the first evening I could. So in the span of 6 hours, I spent half of that time watching Cobra Kai. Watched it, listened to it, then watched it with my son. And he wasn't, I don't want to say he was dismissive of it. He wasn't into it as much as I was, but he did kind of catch something. And he ended up going back with me, and we watched it again, and then watched the whole thing. It was a hoot. It was a lot of fun, and there were lessons that I want him to pick up on. I want him to catch all of those. I know it's silly. It's just, again, it's just a TV show, right? It's just about kick-ass karate stuff. But yeah, it is more than that. I remember telling my son this, and I remember telling my nephew this, who's a good number of years older than my son. So he's, my son looks up to this guy like he walks on water, and he's a pretty good kid too. But I remember one time he got kind of upset because somebody came after him at school, my nephew. And I think it ended up being that he interpreted it wrong or slightly off. It was kind of aggressive, but not nearly as aggressive as it was. But I remember telling him, and I told my son, I said, look, sometimes the right thing to do, if someone is going after you, they may keep coming after you if you don't stand up, or if you keep responding, getting upset. You're an easy mark. They'll come back after you because they know they can wind you up and get you to explode. But if you respond the right way, if you stand up, sometimes it involves getting rough. You need to do that. Or you see some other kid getting intimidated, roughed up, bullied, actually, hurt. This day and age, any physical involvement will get you in trouble, or almost certainly will, may, but maybe not 100%, but the odds seem to be pretty good. And I told both of them, you may not know the right time. You may be wrong when you choose it, but standing up to keeping another kid from being assaulted or fought or hurt, you may get in trouble for it. But if you're right, it might be worth it. It probably shouldn't be your first response. It probably shouldn't be your gut may tell you, but until you know your gut's right, until you know your bullshit detector's right, you probably ought to take a pause. You probably ought to take a breath, assess the situation, and check. But if there is somebody who's getting hurt, somebody is malicious, the attacker is malicious, the right thing might be stopping it, and you might get in trouble for it, and that might be okay. I think there's some of that in Karate Kid. I think I noticed that, or Cobra Kai, anyways. I'm probably going to end up saying Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, Karate Kid, Cobra Kai. Get them wrong. I'm sure I'm not the only one. um, I guess that just means Cobra Kai, at least in my mind, Cobra Kai is doing so well, doing well enough, getting the characters well developed, well realized, and situations and the plots well constructed. They're done well enough that it's on par with the movie. It's on par with Karate Kid, which is old and beloved. It's old and thought of very well. So it matches. It matches in quality, I think. Different ponds, two different kind of things. Apples and oranges, yet they're good. And I love doing this. I love watching, and I love responding, and I love reacting. Again, it's probably the 10, 11, 12 times that I've seen this second episode. And I'm almost certain to watch it more. I'm pleased to see I found season 2 on DVD. Overseas, I think it's overseas. Am I getting it overseas? I think so. I think I get to watch it. I think it's region free. I hope it's region free, otherwise I'm wasting the money. Anyway, so I know I'll be able to watch all of this stuff without watching it online. I'm not kidding myself. I am going to do this again. I love doing it. So I hope you love revisiting this show or hearing about it for the first time. And I hope what I'm saying is not entirely unoriginal, although I understand it might be. So thanks again for listening, and check in again later. Take care.